obviously.
That's when I was getting stoked about playing.
So thank you, ZZ Top and my mom.
It might be Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. I think that might have been the first thing that I heard that I thought was really cool, and obviously that's like kind of an iconic one for me. But I think as I got further into playing guitar, like one of the standout things when I think of like what really made me love it is Are You Dead Yet? Children of Bodom. Different tuning, but probably that one was like, oh, this is so cool. So
is there a particular Metallica riff that kind of stands out as like kind of like that moment in time?
I mean, like I guess like the first riff I learned by them that I thought was like that I could actually play. Do you know what I mean? When you begin was like doesn't know like Enter Sandman or something, just like the. And then like that was like super good because I think it's like they've got everything from like a beginner. You can play it, and then as you get better you can progress and learn more of the songs and stuff. So it's a sick riff to learn when you're like starting out, and all that stuff. But it also helps like learning to palm mute and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that was like the first one I actually could play.
The first riff or song that ever made me want to play guitar was Enter Sandman. I think that changed a lot of people's lives. Metallica and the Black Album, and it was super dark, it was super heavy, it was like a recording sort of sound that people hadn't heard sort of before. It was super heavy anyway, and I think it changed the course of heavy metal for a lot of people my age at the time. They had that snarl. The first song I think I ever learnt on guitar was Polly by Nirvana. And also heavy.
What was the riff? What was the song that you were compelled to learn guitar off of?
Real basic answer here, but Metallica is my favorite band of all time. And I think that this might be every single kid's first riff, but the Enter Sandman riff, that guy was like probably the first riff I ever learned.
So when you picked up the guitar, and you're like, I'm like okay at this. You know what I mean? Where what was like the moment in time? Were you playing a Knock Loose riff? Were you playing another band's riff? Like how did you come up to the determination of like, I think I got this?
It was mostly playing along to songs that I knew. Like I had a room in the back where I would just plug into a combo amp really loud. And my dad had like a speaker system, right? And then he would play music over it. And so sometimes I would plug up like some kind of shitty MP3 player or something like that. And I would play along to the songs that I heard. And as soon as I was able to like follow shit, like, and like do it and hit it on time with what was going on, that's when I was getting stoked about playing.
What was the first riff that made me want to play guitar? I don't know if it was the first riff that made me want to play guitar, but the first riff I remember hearing that just made my mind explode and just filled me with some kind of energy and excitement. The riff that made me want to play guitar for the rest of my life and do it for a living was Through the Never by Metallica. It just had so much energy and so much aggression. I remember being a kid and hearing it for the first time and just bouncing up and down in my bed, being like, this is insane. Just, just sick riff. First guitar riff I ever learned, I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was one of the first guitarists most guitarists my age learned. It was the Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's one of the most instantly recognizable guitar riffs, I think, of all time. One of. And super easy to play, super fun to play. So yeah, I think that was the first riff I properly learned when I was a kid.
Okay, it's funny because my mom is actually a drummer. So she grew up, I grew up in like a southern rock household. My mom played in like bars, all that other fun stuff. And then she was like, honey, you should learn how to play guitar. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if I really want to play guitar. So she basically forced me into doing it. I ended up loving her for it, But it was just the straight up A. And I was like, wait, that sounds like that ZZ Top song I heard out of my mom's thing over and over and over again. So it's like Marsh Tucker Band, ZZ Top, Leonard Skinner, that's like where I thrive. But I was a kid and I was like, holy shit, I can play guitar. So after I learned that, the LaGrange was the first riff that I ever learned in my entire life. And after that, it just kind of stuck with me, and I started jamming with my mom in the garage and all that other stuff, and eventually worked my way into bands. So yeah, so thank you ZZ Top and my mom.
The first riff that I heard that made me want to play guitar or pick up a guitar, I think it was like maybe Blink-182. The first riff I ever learned was Damn It by Blink-182, so it's a terrible riff, right? I know the things that troubled me the most when I started playing was the calluses on your hands, because they're so soft and you've never been rubbing them against strings and hard metal, they get so fucking shredded to bits. And after a while, they kind of get hard and get used to it. But I remember every time I picked up my guitar, I knew that I'd been on it so long, because the pain of doing even to do a power chord absolutely killed my fingers. So I had to wait so long until now I can't even tell, do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I remember when I was younger, I was attracted to music with the riffs because I never listened to the screaming when I was younger. I kind of bypassed it. So I got attracted to riffs that almost sang in themselves, do you know what I mean? So it had so much dynamics in the riff. That's what I really enjoyed about the metal. Bands like As Lay Dying, I probably couldn't sing one word from As Lay Dying, but I know every single riff, do you know what I mean? So.
So the first riff or song that made me want to play guitar, it's kind of hard to pinpoint that exactly because I was 8 when I started playing guitar. Around that time, around being 8 years old, my friend at school gave me a cassette tape. He was like, check out my brother's band. And it wasn't his brother's band, it was Nirvana. It had Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, and then some Prodigy songs on there. And I think he was trying to convince me that both those bands were all his brother's band. Anyway, I kind of half believed him. The first riff I learned, I don't know if I'd classify this as a riff, but Radiohead, Street Spirit, the picking thing. That was one of the first things I learned, which is still kind of tricky actually, just to remember all the picking. I haven't really practiced that in a long time.
I first started playing guitar when I was 12, and the first song I learned was Smoke on the Water, which I am not going to bore you by playing that song. We've all heard that riff. No one needs to hear that riff right now. I didn't really get into guitar for about a year after owning one. Got into it when I figured out tabs, because something about being able to just see the numbers and learning a song by a band that I listened to was crazy for me. That was a huge revelation in guitar playing for me. Chords are boring, tabs are fun. And the first thing I learned was this Blue Oyster Cult riff. Song still rules. It's called Don't Fear the Reaper. I pretty quickly started gravitating towards the metal stuff. I seem to have more fun and want to stick with guitar more when my fingers are moving more, so Metallica, pretty obvious one. I got the Kill 'Em All tab book, and I was really stoked on this song, Seek and Destroy.
One of the first riffs that made me want to pick up a guitar, it would probably be something from Kiss. One of the classics is like Detroit Rock City. It goes something like this. We're in C right now, so it's a little different, but. The basic, you know, intro. The first riff I ever learned, I was learning like, you know, just basic like open chords like that, but the first like rock metal riff I ever learned was Living After Midnight, Judas Priest. I remember the first video I saw from Judas Priest was You Got Another Thing Coming. But I feel like I actually had my neighbor recorded me a cassette tape of Stained Class. I can't remember if it was before or after, but that was the first tape I had. But You Got Another Thing Coming was, you know, the one that really sticks in my mind watching the video. I think it's something like this. I don't even know if those are the right frets because it's in C, but I just played it. Sounded good there. Sounded like a good spot for it to be.